Okay. I must admit, when I saw the corporal punishment thing, that viral video from YouTube with Trump and everything else, it didn't surprise me that he would actively, bring back corporal punishment in America. Was not a shock to me. It amazed me that everybody in America and all the comments and that there are loads of people like really surprised by that fact and up in arms about that fact. It surprised me a little bit, especially when I looked up exactly what happened, because not only did it not surprise me, it seemed a bit too easy. We're only just hearing about it, so I had to look it up and find out exactly what happened. But when I did, I found something even more surprising. That 16 states in America actively still used corporal punishment in public schools. In public schools. And private schools. The fact that it is still being used in 2025 legally shocked me more than anything. I mean, why? Why is corporal punishment still being used at all? Corporal punishment was outlawed in public schools in 1986 in England and in private schools in 1998. I was 18. No, I wasn't. I was 16. 16 in 1998 because I left school in 1998. I turned 18 at the turn of the century. Yeah. I mean, it was still only 4 in 86. I think. Hang on. 83, 84, 85, 86. Yeah, I was 4. I turned 4 in 86. I was 4 years old in 1986. When they changed the corporal punishment laws, I was only 4 years old. I was 4 when those laws changed. And I turned 16 when they changed the laws for the private sector. And that's here in the UK. That's 1998. We have not had corporal punishment in England since I was 16. And that was for the private sector. It ended completely. So why is it in 2025 America still has corporal punishment at all? Why are you still using corporal punishment? Why is it still legal? So why is there this viral video going around? And why is everybody so up in arms? The American people have no right to be up in arms over this corporal punishment thing that Trump is doing. And the reality is, right, I looked it up. I had to look it up, right? Because when I did, I found something else out. Do you want to know what I found out? Yeah, that corporal punishment was used in 16 states, right? I looked it up. I actually found a list of where it was being looked at, right? And in both the public and the private sectors, right, these are the states currently now in 2025, using corporal punishment in both the public and the private sector. Want to hear it? You've got Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, but only for those, but unless you're disabled or have special needs. Mississippi, again, I think it's only for those who have, if you have special needs, you're fine. Missouri, North Carolina, again, Tennessee, again, is if one of those if you're disabled, you're okay. Texas, Wyoming, and Oklahoma, they use it for both the public and the private sector. Why? Okay. And then we move on to the fact that there are still some that only use it in the private sector. So if you've got kids in the public sector, you're all right. But if you have children in the private sector, take a listen to this. You've got Alaska, California, Colorado, Idaho, Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Dakota, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, seriously, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Now tell me, that is the majority of America, right? There are only 4, get this, 4 states that have completely banned capital punishment. And they banned it in 1986, because I looked it up. They had banned corporal punishment by 1986 completely. Not just in the public sector, but in the private sector too. They do not practice, it is completely illegal. They do not practice it complete at all. It is illegal in Iowa, Maryland, New Jersey, and New York. It is illegal to use corporal punishment in schools, both in the public sector and the private sector. And that was banned in 1986, 100% completely. So nobody in America has the right to be upset, shocked, or surprised with Trump and anything he does regarding children and education. But getting back to that, and I am going to get back to it, because not only does that shock me and get me annoyed, because why? There is no reason, face of this earth, corporal punishment should be used in 2025 in school. No, absolutely not. But getting back to him, now, what he signed and his executive order will not in any way state that he is allowing corporal punishment back in school. If you read it, it will confuse the hell out of you, unless you're lawyery type person or parliamentary type person or politically minded type person, or that kind of person who understands that kind of stuff, because there are people out there that read that kind of stuff, go, yeah, I understand that makes perfect sense. And I'm not like that, and I just sit there and I look at that and go, yeah, if I keep reading that I'm going to get a headache, because it's just like confused the hell out of me. But there were parts of what I read and I sat there and go, yeah, that makes sense, I understand that. And most of what I read went, yeah, over my head. But there were parts of what I read and I sat there and I went, that's interesting. Like when he stated that black people, coloured people, people of different ethnicities are the ones that mainly get punished, are the ones that are mostly getting punished. They're the people who get most of the suspensions and the demerits and, pulled up on dress code violations. They're the ones that get picked on the most by the education system. I understood that. I understood that he was talking about equality in the classroom. And then he stated, not only was he talking about equality in the classroom, he then turned around and said he wants to start putting American children first, which kind of went against putting equality in the classroom. So I'm not quite sure where he stands in equality side, because we all know what he thinks about different ethnicities and coloured children and coloured people in general. So this concept of equality kind of makes me a bit kind of dubious. But American children first, yes, I totally agree with that one, because that's exactly where he stands. America first, that's exactly where he stands. And then he starts talking about traditional values of the education system and Article 6, and then he starts talking about the Obama administration and I can't remember your last president's name. It eludes me. I can't remember it. You know who the guy before Trump. I can't remember his name. It will come to me later. I know it will. At some point or other, I'll remember it. But I can't actually remember his name now. So the guy before Trump. Can't remember his name. They made amendments to the education system to try and equalise it and bring about equal punishments and to make sure the system worked for everybody, like Obama, and making sure the coloured people had a bit more equality so they weren't the ones being punished so much. So he made a racist act, And the guy before him, before Trump, had the DEI, sorry. He's reversed all of them. He's actually reversed what they've done. He said they don't need the DEI or Obama's act. He's reversed all of that, and that all kind of confused me a bit, because I was like, what on earth? I don't know, don't care, not interested. That just kind of confused the hell out of me. But what he then did is he quoted two parts of, I'm assuming, Article 6, because they said this is what it means. So these two phrases, these two parts of Article 6 I wrote, and they were: purpose and policy. The federal government will no longer tolerate known risks to children's safety and well-being in the classroom that result from the application of school discipline based on the discriminatory and unlawful equity ideology. And yes, equity was in inverted commas. Right, and the next bit was model school discipline policies that promote common sense, protect the safety and educational environment of students, do not promote unlawful discrimination, and are rooted in American values and traditional virtues. What that actually basically means is what he's trying to do is create a common sense, equality and traditional values in the classroom. That is basically what his act is. His act is all about creating common sense, equality and traditional values in the classroom. The problem with it is so vague, so open, so kind of, there's nothing else there, that you can actually put things like corporal punishment on the table, because things like corporal punishment are part of the traditional values, apparently, of the education system. You could also put things like segregation on the table, because, there was a time when things like coloured people and people of ethnicity were segregated from white people. So we could start doing things like that. So in America, you might start seeing things like corporal punishment become the norm. Things like segregation, so coloured people and, Americans actually start being segregated in the classroom. You might start seeing a difference in the education level. So, the coloured people and the people of different ethnicities will get a lower education than the white Americans. You might start seeing things like that. You might start seeing things like the girls and the boys getting different educations, because the boys used to get an actual education while the girls were given homemaker educations, because they weren't actually supposed to work. So they'd learn how to be homemakers. So you'll have to start doing things like how to make a home. The girls will have to start going to cooking classes, and textile classes, and learn how to make a home and be a housewife and do things like that. You might start seeing things like that come back into the classroom. Rather than you all being together, you might start seeing things like that happen. Rather than, whereas you'll be allowed to read and write, then you'll be learning different things as well. So they'll have no issue putting you together, so that, yes, girls are allowed to read, learn to read and write, but then you'll separate off into your actual, learning, because girls aren't allowed to learn the same thing as boys. I can almost see things like that happening. Girls will learn to cook while boys learn to do manual labour. Girls will learn to do this while boys learn to do that. Especially as you get into secondary school. You'll both be allowed to learn how to read and write, but then your girls will learn to do the housemaker stuff while boys learn to do the manual labour stuff. That I can see happening. I can see it happening. And the coloured and the ethnics will learn different things to all of you, because of they're coloured and they've got an ethnicity, So, and corporal punishment will become a part of it, because it's traditional values. I can see it all kind of coming back into play because it was so vague, so kind of open, that every school district and every state can interpret it any way they like, and they really can. And considering corporal punishment is part and parcel of your life anyway, and it really is, because frankly it's pretty much in every state bar 4. It actually is in every single state bar 4. There's no if, buts and maybes. It is legal in every single state bar 4. Even if it's just in the private sector, it is legal in every state but 4. You sit there and you go, what on earth are you doing? So he has pretty much given carte blanche to every single state to say, you interpret this act any way you like, but traditional values, common sense, interpret it any way you like. Pretty much what he's done. When that goes through, that is how it will be interpreted. However the states want to interpret it will be how it works. And I can see that kind of thing happening. And you lot will accept it because you accept everything, because you do. You don't do anything about it. You don't seem to mind what he does. And you'll accept whatever happens because you accept everything he does, because he's making America great again, right? You know, when he refers to child working laws, now that your teenagers can work till like midnight if they wanted to. You know, even on a school night. You know, you didn't do anything about that. You know, when he's destroying your country bit by bit and you're not doing anything about that, he's destroyed you and you haven't done anything about it. So he's already destroyed your education system, so I mean it's just no point anyway. So your children are only learning what he wants them to learn anyway, so I mean it really won't make a difference now. I mean, quite literally, your children are only learning what he wants you to learn. He's removed a lot of amazing literature from your classrooms. So, and he actually instated the Insurrection Act. He's actually initiated the Insurrection Act. He's reinstated the Insurrection Act. Now he can use the military to do his bidding, which is exactly what ICE is. I mean, he initiated that act a while ago. I mean, ICE has been doing his bidding on the borders, and now he'll start doing it. Now they can do whatever they like within the country, because he will start using it on civilians if they don't do as they're told. And there's no one to stop him. And you lot will accept it. Well, to be fair, you lot won't be able to stop it because the military are under his control. Because I actually looked it up. The Insurrection Act states that the military are under his control. They have to do his bidding because he's the president. They are legally bound to follow his command. They have to do whatever the president orders them to do, whether they like it or not. They are legally bound to follow his orders. If he tells them to arrest civilians for this crime, they have no choice. If he says that this, and this, if he gives them a list of reasons why people need to be arrested, and a civilian meets those requirements, they have to arrest them. Just like they do at the borders. Oh, these people coming in meet this requirement, arrest them! For no reason, realistically, but because your orange man gave a list of reasons why he believes people should be arrested, and they get arrested for no reason. ICE have been doing his bidding for ages, and now they'll do it. And they've been on your southern borders for a while now, and now they're going to start policing the civilians. In fact, I read the other day, I read it yesterday actually, because I wanted to see what was going on, that they've already started policing some of your southern states. They're not just policing the borders now. They're actually policing some of the southern states, and they're beginning to move. They will start moving inland. It won't take long before they actually start moving inland, further inwards, and actually start policing the whole country. The military are set to become, like, what? You are going to start living in a police state. You are actually going to start living in a version of the Hunger Games. You are actually going to start living in a version of the Hunger Games in a weird kind of way. Directed by the Orange Man, and the military are going to be your peacekeepers. You do as you're told, or you will be arrested. It's weird to think that everything comes along that way, but it is. But yeah, I did look it up and find out what was going on, and I saw a thing, a video about them. I wanted to find out exactly what was happening, and I did, and it's not good. But you're going to start living. You're actually beginning. It's the beginning of. Yeah, it's not good. But yeah, the fact that you lot already live in a way that accommodates your Orange Man to be able to allow corporal punishment or any other kind of anything in schools is insane to me. But it's already legal and it's already allowed, and it's pretty much across the country, and that is the most insane thing in the world to me. So no, you have no right to be upset at this. America has absolutely no business being upset about this new act that he's bringing in, because it's already legal pretty much across the board. And the only states that have any right to be in any way upset about any of this are Iowa, Maryland, New Jersey, and New York, because they are the only states in America that have completely banned corporal punishment. They're the only states that have the right to be upset about this. Everywhere else, corporal punishment is actually still legal. So, no. You did this to yourselves. You allowed this to happen. It's still legal, so no, don't feel sorry for you at all. Not this time.